So they'll be taking a look at a scenario where Poland formed a colonial empire. This is a sub-series from the Empire series and it's a new one, so if you like these videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now for this we'll take a slightly more different approach from the Empire series, and that's the fact that we'll color the country, in this case Poland, in yellow. And Poland, to form its new colonial empire, they will first go to their first target, being Denmark. And Poland will begin their invasion by first taking this little Danish island in here, and then they will hop on the Copenhagen island, taking it. They'll take the Danish islands, and from there Denmark will fall over to the entirety of the Polish army. And Poland will end up annexing Denmark, and from here they have access to the North Sea, which they will use to get to their next target. First of all, they will be annexing the Faroe Islands. They'll take them just like this and also add them to their colonial empire. With this island now under their control, they'll be going to their next target, which is the island of Iceland. The Polish colonial armies, I guess this is how we are gonna call them, are gonna make a landing on Iceland, and from here they will have little to no issue moving through the island of Iceland, taking their capital in Reykjavik, and then they will proceed to sweep across the entirety of the nation. After Poland added Iceland to their colonial empire, first of all we are gonna go back to their mainland, where alongside France they'll be gangbanging on Germany. First of all, on the French front we are gonna have France hop into Germany, taking the Saarland, a very big coal supply of Germany, and from here move throughout these regions across Bavaria and into the Rhineland, taking these regions away from Germany. Now Poland will use their Danish lands to go down south into Germany and take the city of Hamburg. Also from their Polish lands they will cut off Germany, which will end up surrendering to the invaders. In the peace treaty we are gonna have Poland take these coastal parts of Germany up in the north, connecting the Polish territories with Denmark, and France will take their territories here around the Saarland and the Rhineland. But going back to colonialism, because this is what this video is about, Poland's next target will be the island of Greenland. Greenland is a very sparsely populated island, so it wouldn't be that hard for Poland to hop in the south, take all the major cities, and from there take everything, and this will lead to the capitulation of Greenland. And now we are gonna have Poland annexing over Greenland. Poland is starting to grow its colonial empire, and now it will go for its next target, being Canada. First we are gonna have here in the Arctic Poland going over from Greenland and making some island hopping here through Canada, sweeping across their northern parts and taking all this archipelago of islands and almost reach the Canadian mainland. Then they will make a landing on this big island, almost reaching the Hudson Gulf. Then they make a landing here in Newfoundland and hop onto the Canadian mainland in the region of Quebec. Now it will be interesting to think what the US will say about this war. For sure they will not be a fan of it, but also it's Poland, an American ally, so they might be able to roll around with it. So they will sweep across these very populated parts of Canada, where basically all their population is, and take all this very valuable land of Canada. After this they will end up losing all their northern parts in here on the Canadian shield, where little to no one lives, and from there they will sweep across the rest of Canada, which will end up surrendering. The Polish colonial empire has just taken a very big colony in Canada, taking all these territories on the eastern part of Canada, and now they will go right where all colonialists go, into Africa, where they will be invading some countries here on the western coast. The Polish imperialist headquarters will declare war on these African nations and they will begin their invasion right here on the nation of Gambia, going into Senegal, targeting these northern parts, cutting them off from the rest of these nations, following by them taking these lands, followed shortly by the capitulation of the nation of Gambia. Then they'll take this Guinea-Bissau nation, I think, then invade into this nation, which I'm not sure which it is, but from there they'll go down south to the border of Sierra Leone and take these western parts of this African nation. Then they'll go into Sierra Leone, one of the weakest African nations, I think, and capitulate them. From there we'll also have the capitulation of this nation. From there they will invade into Liberia and proceed to also swipe across this nation, and now comes by far one of their biggest targets, and this is the Ivory Coast. The Polish colonialists will hop the border into the nation, having a lot of success in taking the western parts of the Ivory Coast, but then we'll have the Ivory Coast army go into here and retake their territory, while also retaking a part of Liberia, which is super huge for them. But also the Polish colonial forces will have success across the northern part of the nation, where not many people live, as basically their entire population is located in the south. But even then we are gonna have the Ivory army going to here and encircle these Polish divisions. Poland will attempt to make a cutoff from here to encircle the encirclement, but this will lead to a reverse encirclement by the Ivory Coast, which will lead in Poland losing in here. But Poland will manage to regroup here in Liberia and reconquer this nation, and now they are also pushing on the coast of the Ivory Coast. These Polish divisions will get pushed to the east and they will meet the border of Ghana. But from here Poland will seize the upper hand, reclaiming access to their little exclave in there and sweep across this northern part. From here they will start to slowly push the Ivory Coast more down to their capital part and their coastal parts, and after a very brutal battle Poland will win. Now Poland is a true colonizer, as now they have a lot of Nordic colonies around here and also their colonies here in the African regions, and they'll decide to keep advancing here into the African regions by declaring war on Ghana, Togo and Benin. And similar to the last war, they'll be starting their advances here into Ghana, taking some pretty healthy amounts of territory here into this nation, but then they'll manage to do a pretty sizable pushback, but again not really that many changing events. So overall, even though it's a pretty back and forth war, overall Poland will seize the upper hand in capitulating the nation of Ghana. From there Tonga will fall pretty quickly, and similar enough this will be the case with Benin. Poland just swallowed even more of Africa, and they will do the same as they just proceed to fully annex Burkina Faso. After the annexation of Burkina Faso, we'll also have Poland throwing hands with Mali, I think this nation is. But now we are gonna have Polish armies hop into this nation, and mostly they are looking towards getting the southern parts of the nation, and this is exactly what happens, as they claim what they want and then they will stay with Mali for a peace treaty. Poland will claim all the territory they wanted from the nation of Mali, and now for their final wanted African colony they will go after big Nigeria. Now if you know anything about Africa, you'll know that Nigeria is one of the most populated nations in the world and one of the strongest nations in Africa. But Poland has taken a lot of power from all the nations they have annexed so far, and they have taken a lot of population, so maybe they might be able to win this. But let's not forget that even though they will manage to do a lot of good pushbacks, Also, Nigeria will come with its defensive forces and block the Polish army from advancing, and this will lead to a pretty bad stalemate that will last for a couple of years, maybe a year, maybe not that much, but for sure a year. After this, Polish divisions will break up here through the north, taking some land, and here the Polish divisions will split. Some of them will go towards the south, towards where the Nigerian major cities are across the coast, how it's basically with all the African nations. And then we are gonna have the other divisions continuing to go east, hoping to cut off this entire portion of Nigeria. These two spearheads end up solidifying into one front line, and then these guys manage to meet up with these armies in here and wipe this part of Nigeria out and conquering it. While from here they will start to push in, but still a lot of the armies are still there, and this will lead to a pushback of this front line in here, kind of solidifying a solid front line between the two nations. Now we're gonna have another stalemate, but after this stalemate we'll have the Polish divisions also marching through here and also managing to sweep across these parts of Nigeria, and they are starting to chop down this nation slowly but surely, making some spearheads and encirclements which will start to slowly eat up this nation. More encirclements will happen and they will start to lose all the battles, and then with this we'll basically have Nigeria losing all their nation, and after a very long time they'll make the smart move to surrender. And now that KSI is Polish, now Poland has taken all the land that they wanted from Africa, and their colonial empire is rapidly expanding across the world, and they're becoming one of the strongest nations in the world. But now for kind of the final colonies that they want, they will go here to these islands in the Caribbean. They will end up taking all of these islands, including I know Trinidad and Tobago is here, but maybe like Saint Lucia, I think it's the nation here. Yeah, I mean I don't really know these nations, I'm gonna be honest. After this we'll have Poland go over to the nice nation of Panama. We are gonna have Poland declare war on Panama, and with here we'll have the war start with Polish armies going through here, seizing the Panama Canal and take the nation. For one of the final targets of Poland, we'll have them declare war upon the nation of Ecuador, and we are first gonna have Poland seize the Galapagos Islands and then move their army to the coast of Ecuador. We're gonna have the Polish army land here in Ecuador, seizing all their coast, and from here they will have a pretty easy sweep across the nation of Ecuador, taking their entire territory. For the second to last target of the Polish Empire, they'll go after the nation of Colombia, and they will use their territories in Panama and Ecuador to surprise the Colombians and take their entire coast in here, following by them solidifying these front lines and starting to push into the inner continent and into the nation of Colombia. From here they will be smart and go with the Panama forces and take these coastal parts of Colombia, basically killing any of the supplies that might have came to the nation, and from here they will start to sweep across the nation. Listen up, Colombia is still getting heavily supplied, as not that many nations support the colonialism of Poland, but at the end of the day Polish forces will overpower Colombia and will manage to seize the entire nation. Colombia, like all the other nations, will end up getting annexed into the Polish colonial empire, and for Poland's final target it will be the nation of Peru. Peru, I'm not sure about their power, but they might be a tad bit, either a tad bit weaker than Colombia, maybe a tad bit stronger, But one thing is clear, that they are not stronger than Poland, as all the northern part of Peru will fall over to, well, the Polish colonial empire. After this they will move down from here and take these parts of Peru, quickly moving down south and having a big sweeping front like the Eastern Front in World War I and World War II. But it is around here that Peru manages to rejuvenate a little and make a bit of a pushback, but then the Polish armies sent a couple more divisions and they managed to decimate the Peruvians. They will send them more around here, cutting their access to Brazil, and from here they will end up getting defeated and they will surrender. And now Poland has also completed its colony in South America, and with this they have completed their entire colonial empire. They have their colonies in here in South America, their Nigerian colonies, of course they have their European mainland with Denmark, and then they have their northern European colonies with Iceland, Greenland and parts of Canada. And that will do it for today's video. I hope you liked it and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.